Now, this particular piece of text is pretty intriguing all on its own, but if we find that layer where it is, if we double click over here on the right of that layer, kind of where it's empty, it pops up with what is called a layer style. And first off, you want to make sure that you have this preview checked. There's lots of options that we can do here, but what I'd like to start off with is by adding a stroke. And now it just makes it pop out a little bit more. You can adjust the size of the stroke. You can make it more narrow or even thicker. I'm going to go ahead and put it at 3, I believe. You can decide where you want that stroke, outside, inside, center, and you can choose the opacity and the color of it as well. If I wanted mine to have a color of something in the photo, I can use this eyedropper to choose a color inside that photo. And then I can come up here to Bevel and Emboss, and you have outer bevel, inner bevel, emboss, pillow emboss, stroke emboss. Let's go ahead and put it at an outer bevel. And what it does is it kind of gives it a little drop shadow here. And you can choose the amount of it. Okay, I'm going to leave it right there around 25, give or take. You can soften the edges. Okay, you can adjust the angle by which it is doing it. And then some other methods that I'm going to go ahead and hit reset to default on that. And then some other methods that you have to basically experiment with. Okay, so no set thing that is right or wrong. It really depends on you just taking some time and playing with it. But I'm going to leave it at outer bevel. The size is 25, and everything else I left the same. And then I'm going to click OK, and it applies it. And then I'm going to go ahead and move on to the other photo that I downloaded, and that was, or that I had on there. Make sure that you hit the eyeball to show it, and that's a tennis ball. I'm going to use my horizontal type tool, and I am going to choose something that looks similar to Lamar Blue, but I'm going to make sure that it's in my color gamut, and I'm going to type all caps LCHS, and then I need to I'm going to change the font to Impact, Impact regular. And I'm going to change the font. Let's see what size. I have it at 50. Oh, I should have reset because I got to change my vertical scale. All right, so let me try 75. 75, I think looks good. So what we're going to do here is we are going to, I don't necessarily want this centered on the ball, because if you look at the ball, it is, let me hide the text, it's facing to the left, okay? So there's more space over on this particular piece of felt here than there is over here, okay? So we're wanting to manipulate this text to make it look like it's been printed on that ball. So I'm going to choose LCHS. I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, and what I want is Distort. Only Distort is grayed out. And that's because Distort can't be done on a text layer. So what I have to do is right-click on that text layer and choose Rasterize Type. Now, that means that this is now an object and it's not text that I can edit, okay? So I'm going to go back, edit, transform. Now I can choose distort. Now I can push and pull on the corners to make sure that this piece of text looks like it is sitting on that ball by the shape of it. Okay, so that is the distort. Then one last thing, I'm going to choose another color for this. How about, I don't have anything green. Let me choose a green. I'm going to type the word warp, all caps, just 'cause. And there's actually a couple places you can do it. You might have seen it here, edit, transform, and warp. But if you have it selected like this, it's also right here. This is warp. It creates warped text. So you can come here and you can choose arc, different kinds, arch, bulge, and I think that's the one that I want. And I'm going to increase the amount of bend in it. And you can change it so that it is more bulgy on one side than another if you want. If you wanted that to be 0, you could try it on this scale, on the vertical distortion. But I'm going to go ahead and leave it right there and click OK. And I'm just going to kind of move it out of the way so that we have warped text. So now the only thing that I would like you to do is just make sure that none of your pieces of text are overlapping others. That way I can see all the different pieces that you've done. Maybe spread them out just so they're not crowded or as crowded, because it is a page full of text. Then remember that you're going to save it. It should already be saved with your period number, your last name, and then type tool.psd. Now it's time to save it and change the save as type to JPEG. And it again should have your period underscore your last name and then type tool, and then hit save, and you'll get a pop-up about image options. Keep it at maximum and click OK, and that JPEG is the one that you'll turn into Canvas and upload to your Canvas ePortfolio.